All right, so I wanted to make a quick investment update about Rigetti Computing, and this is the only quantum computing stock I own in my portfolio. I've made a couple videos on it in the past, and there are obviously a bunch of quantum computing stocks out there, and it can be difficult to know which one to invest in. But I chose Rigetti, a little while ago. I made my first video when it was probably around $10. Um, I chose it because they kind of take a different approach than a lot of the other quantum computing companies, in that they are kind of taking it slow and they're just working on their technology right now. Their deals are maybe not exactly where the other quantum computing companies are right now. They don't have a ton of earnings or money locked in, but their technology is really, I think, the best out of any other company. And I think in the long term, that'll definitely propel them above the other companies and make it a great investment. And as of recently, they've seen a lot of price movement. We saw, a huge jump just this week. You look at the last 5 days, are up almost 40%. And that is because this one piece of news dropped that their multi-chip quantum computer is the largest in the industry, and they're continuing to work on their technology. And you see this last sentence, they plan to launch their new system on August 15th, and then they have another system they're going to launch for the end of 2025. So again, lots of new technological developments coming for Rigetti Computing, and that's kind of why I think it definitely has more potential to grow past where it is now. I made the video originally at 10, and I don't know if all you guys saw that, but now we're sitting at 17, and we're not even past these highs yet of 20 that hit before NVIDIA's CEO was talking about how quantum was a little in the future and maybe the hype is a little premature. But since then, there have been a lot of developments. They've been solidifying their earnings, their technology has been getting better. I think it's an even better time to invest now than it was, back then we were at 17, back here in, late December, because there's a lot of changes. It's been 6 months. I think, this stock can definitely be a little not even frustrating, just, kind of a little weird with its movement. There's usually not a ton of news that comes out about Rigetti. It's really just earnings and then the occasional news drop like we got this week. And other than that, it's really just, these like technical price movements that, kind of just have the price hovering around, before this, we were kind of hovering around that 11 to even we jumped up a little to $13. But nothing really major. And then we have this huge piece of news come out, gets up to $17. The next big catalyst for Rigetti is going to be earnings, which will be, I think, a week after August begins. So I think right now it's scheduled for August 7th. That could change. We could see huge price movements there above $20 if they continue to demonstrate that their revenues are growing and they're starting to become more and more profitable. I know they're not profitable yet, but great things coming for Rigetti Computing. If you are not already invested, I would say this is definitely a great time to get started, especially with that little, the new technology that they're coming out with. I think if you weren't really sure of what they were doing, I think now you should definitely be sure that they are going to be continuing to launch this new technology, and hopefully there are commercial uses for it, because if there are, this thing will be worth a lot more than $5.5 billion. And then in another few years, it could be $100 billion company. So it's kind of something that I saw and I was just like, might as well get into it, because you never know with this type of stuff. It could become the next really big thing. It's better to get in early and maybe take a little bit more of a risk. That's why we got in at 10, so that we have a little bit of a buffer at this point. But this is something that you really don't want to miss out on, especially if you're seeing it now, when it's still really cheap, only $5 billion market cap. So something to consider. Obviously, I would do your own research. It's definitely a riskier play. After earnings, we could see a pullback down to 15, down to 13. You never really know. It depends how investors take it, but you could also very easily see a push above 20. So great things coming for Rigetti. Great price movement. Definitely very happy with where it's at now. And hopefully we can continue this, and I'll make another video right before earnings, just kind of overviewing maybe anything new and what we can kind of expect. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe if you like the videos, and yeah, see you.